Hi, hello again. Here we have a different interview. Now we're gonna make a nice interview with Vesta Datketvishute. She's not in Chile, she's right now in Singapore. Vesta has a long experience working in different countries. She is from Lithuania. She has been working in several countries, in Bangalore, in Belgium, Lithuania, and now in Singapore. She has a Master's of Political Sciences. Also, she speaks English, French, Lithuanian, Russian, and Spanish. But right now, we're going to do the interview in English. Hello, Vesta. How are you?
Hola, hello. I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Well, thank you again, Vesta. I think that the first question that we have to do for you is, what else are you doing, or what else have you done in your life? Because you have a very extensive curriculum.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you presented really straightforward, but over my career, I started my career in even apart that I was studying politics, but I wasn't involved in national and European politics, literally. So that's why I wasn't working in government, in minister's cabinet, and later on had a chance to work also in European Parliament and to be in that Brussels bubble. But later on, I changed my career direction towards the corporate life, and that's where I've been since some time. Yeah, so I think this is what I enjoy, that I have also understanding what happens in politics, and at the same time now in business. Yeah, just shortly.
Okay. Well, what are you doing, a Lithuanian girl? What is she doing in Singapore so far? So different. How's living in Singapore, Vesta?
Oh yeah, that's very good question. So basically, Singaporeans today enjoy a quality of life comparable to advanced economies. And myself, if I ever dreamed about a paradise, Singapore is nothing less than an urban paradise for me. So I'm surrounded by greenery and fauna that makes feel and live, work in the resort. um, I have really extraordinary safety, live in diverse, authentic culture, and of course, surrounded by trustable and honest people. That's how Singaporeans are. And by say so, because I have never experienced actually so much of trust and safety in my life. For instance, yesterday, as most of the time, I went for jogging at 11 p.m. at night, right? And without any kind of concern on or feel of danger. So over half a decade living here, I had a few times that I even forgot my mobile phone or laptop in the taxi, and that's amazing because all the times people return the devices to me back. And let's say one more example, because I really want to share about this. Like 2 weeks ago, I went for a walk around my area, which has very local neighborhood, and just instantly decided to buy nails to hang on paintings on in my apartment at one of the on my wall, right? And just stopped by one local shop. It appeared that they accepted only cash, while I had only a bank card. So this senior in the shop told, "It's okay, you can take my like purchase and bring money next day." So local people have so much trust in others, and it's unbelievable. I don't know where else we can find such society. So basically, here I just wanted to highlight that Singapore provides very honest society, wonderful quality of life. Doesn't matter if you run your own business or you are the talent in multinational. Like personally, I really love Singapore, and after living in 4 different countries, I can call Singapore my home now, and I didn't feel so about other foreign countries before.
Great. Vesta, let's talk about business. Many people are here in South America that are looking to Singapore as a great country to work and for living. But you have been living and working in different countries. Could you tell us some of the key factors now for living in Singapore or in India, for instance? Let's focus more in Singapore, because you have been living in Singapore for how long?
5 years now.
5 years, okay. But how are the key factors for living in Singapore for doing business?
Yeah. So maybe it's just like briefly, I would say that in the business environment in the countries where I lived, like varies significantly, but I would divide them between developing and developed markets. And of course, highlighting Singapore as the most attractive business environment globally. It's a fact. So, like in developed countries, in Eurozone, such Belgium and Lithuania, um, these countries, we have business-friendly, efficient, and transparent regulatory environment where trade and investment-related policy measures don't discriminate against foreign companies. There is very little corruption. Markets are open and liberal. Uh, have have highly skilled workforce, favorable financial conditions. However, taxes are quite high. So, like for instance, Belgium, according to Doing Business 2019, the total tax rate was the second largest in Western Europe in 2019 and reached 57.7%, if I'm not mistaken. Like India is really considered to be a global economic growth driver, right? Due to rapid manufacturing and industrial expansion. However, a lot of bureaucratic barriers, corruption, prevalent poverty, and skills shortages pose challenges to development. So then I moved to India in 2013. I found it was a very protectionist economy. And now looking at the facts, still in 2019, in the index of economic freedom, India's ranking was in the bottom third in Asia Pacific. So it also has the highest tariffs in the world. Yeah, and known to have one of the most restrictive trade practices. But on another hand, situation, as far as I know, been improving and it's getting more liberal. And of course, when it comes to Singapore, its business landscape is one of the best globally. And thanks to low taxes and a favorable regulatory regime. The technology sector is a major beneficiary of its superior infrastructure, allowing for high levels of innovation. And furthermore, corruption is not an issue for the country at all. So this resulting in small business operations. While, of course, nevertheless, Singapore's highly open economy is susceptible to global trade conflicts, while skills shortages and hamper business development in the long run. So this is how those countries where I lived and how I observed the doing business situation differs, right?
Mhm. Vesta, how's the business environment for the foreigner?
Hmm. That's really good question. So Singapore business landscape is one of the best global, as I mentioned, right? And in terms of regulatory framework, offers um, a level playing field for foreign investors, with no foreign ownership restrictions and no foreign exchange controls. So both foreign and domestic investors, sorry, are treated equally. However, some sectors face restrictions for overseas investors. That's important to note, perhaps, including telecommunications, broadcasting, financial services, and ports and airports. Further, policy that is actively enforced in Singapore is the preference for local workers over foreign employees, which can kind of a bit exacerbate skills shortages. And this tendency has especially been reinforced amid COVID-19 pandemic. So continuing discussing why companies relocate to Singapore, there are few factors. So Singapore has established itself as a gateway to Southeast Asia and preferred jurisdiction for business of all sizes to base their Asian operations here. And Singapore as a country has a great reputation and assures that the company has credibility on the global level. What is really important, right? If you conduct your own business. And other thing that Singapore has unique advantage in its geography. The country is strategically located at the crossroads of the main trade and shipping routes of the world, including the major sea road between India and China. Therefore, traveling to most Southeast Asian countries is just like a flight away, really. 1 hour or like even sometimes shorter. So it's super great location. And another point why companies willing to relocate to Singapore, as that Singapore's business environment has proven to be highly attracted to the skilled and ambitious workers from across the globe. Uh, Singapore citizens originate from diverse racial backgrounds, so it gives the capacity to offer workforce solutions requiring multilingual and multicultural sensitivities, which not easy to find in even some developed markets, right? Let's say in Lithuania, you wouldn't find multinationality. So English and another like very important factor that English is a national language and primary for business. So no issues at all. I mean, I don't speak Mandarin. It's nothing to be proud of, um, but yeah, like in Singapore, without without the knowledge of any other foreign languages like or language as English, you can like really live without any issues. So these are the main factors which I wanted to mention, I think, and they really are significant and make sense.
Great, Vesta. Can I send you my resume?
Sure, of course.
No. Well, anyway, uh, are there so many rules or restrictions to do business there? I mean, for somebody that comes from South America, mention some typical things. So that somebody would like to do business, you have to conform.
Yeah. So, of course, I mean, like every country, we have like pros and cons, and even the best, we also have it, right? So, to set up business, there are some requirements. So then you want to consider about it. First question is a practical question. How do I form my public limited company? So the rules are set out in the Company Act. They are quite simple. One of the onerous rules is that you need a local director in Singapore. The local director must be resident here in Singapore. So to satisfy this rule, a corporate service provider can offer a nominee director service, that the company can employ a person as a non-executive director. And I think this is, if you're based outside Singapore, I think it's even a must to employ corporate service provider, if I'm not mistaken. I would need to double check it. So shareholders again can be between like 1 and 50. They can be either individuals or they can be corporate bodies. What you need is just like one minimum ordinary share, and share capital is minimum of $1 Singapore. So not so much, right? So that's paid up capital. Then you need to appoint a company secretary within 6 months from your date of incorporation. But probably the company would like to do this from the start, because foreign companies, we need to engage with the services of corporate service provider to actually carry out the registration of the company. So now I'll talk about in a moment when I go through registration, which can be carried out at ACRA. It's an acronym. The company will become very familiar with in Singapore. So it's like regulatory authority that is responsible for registration of companies and for the corporate business running forward, and any other fillings. So these are kind of rules which the company must follow. Also, when it comes to registering your company name, it legal name, right? It can contain name Singapore. So, and also it should be unique. In this case, I think Singapore also wants, to protect their country from in case there is any non-proper activity. So yeah, these are main points. I think it's important to have it.
Are the taxes?
Sorry?
The taxes are too high? Which are the taxes there?
Yeah. So in terms of the corporate taxes, I mean, I think it provides, Hong Kong and Singapore provides the the lowest taxes in the world. So Singapore's tax system is viewed as simple and investor friendly. The highest corporate tax rate on taxable income is 17%. And the tax on capital gains and dividend income is 0.
Wow.
Yeah. So also within the first 3 years, there are tax breaks for companies. For example, companies won't pay for first 100K taxable income for the first 3 years. Other advantage that Singapore has 88 double taxation agreements in force with other countries. So it means most of it, like markets or like businesses, pay tax in one jurisdiction, right? So also Singapore has minimal annual compliance requirements. One more thing to mention that in Singapore, we have 1.6 million tech-savvy people, and 500 million internet users based in Southeast Asia in the region, right? And Singapore is the bridge to access Southeast Asia markets or even like broader Asia Pacific markets. So in Singapore, we have very friendly digital technology laws. What is also possible just solely to run your business online business using digital technology. And of course, the advantage is this is advantage of the easier incorporation. Yeah, so I think in terms of taxes, it's also paradise.
Yeah, well, I think we will just take the plane to go there and do business, but there's some other questions that we'd like to see.
Sure.
Which are the most typical errors and which are the things you never had to do in Singapore?
Yeah, this kind of tricky question, but perhaps Singapore has really impression about very precise and rules following country, right? And it's really true. So if you wanted to establish your business or even like operate later on, it's very important to be honest throughout all the processes, starting from the registering your company, finishing with the daily operations. You can't disregard small details, and you must follow the rules precisely. If something will be not according to the set practices and rules, you just can easily be caught because the government checks everything and keeps on track. So honesty is very important, and some cultures might be, but okay, it's detail, doesn't matter, or just like, oh yeah, let's say one of the examples that any role should be like officially posted on Singapore's like board, right? If you're looking for a new employee, and it must actually at least few like Singaporeans must be interviewed, and only if you don't find that skill which you're looking for, only then you have it like opportunity to look for the foreign talent. But this is more like exceptional rather than a typical activity. So because Singapore really wants to support Singaporeans rather than foreigners when it comes to regular employment kind of level. So if you will not go through these procedures, and let's say you will state that yes, I interviewed Singaporeans, and you will be caught, oh no, you will never had a chance anymore to establish your business. So you must do precisely everything because it's very easy to track.
Okay. Vesta, seems that Singapore is a very developed country. Which are the most or the greatest business opportunities there?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like all the world, is full of opportunities, I think, right? And but when it comes to Singapore, Singapore wants to attract and support a diverse range of industries, from aerospace and like electronics to medical technology and the creative industries. Let's say the ICT sector in Singapore is highly developed and has become a magnet for firms operating in the sector. It has attracted global giants like Facebook and Google to establish the Asian base in Singapore. R&D initiatives are in place to encourage innovation, such as 250% super deduction of qualifying R&D expenditure. This is like, wow. Further, over the last few years, perhaps all the world, not excluding Singapore, turned the eyes on the fintech companies, right, and the sector. And the pandemic has triggered this kind of an unprecedented demand for digital solution even more. So the acceleration of a digital shift is set to play a key role in the transition towards purpose-led businesses that aim to provide societal and environmental benefits alongside stronger financial performance and brand reputation. So I believe that Singapore is going to welcome purpose-led and sustainable business ideas more proactively. Also, very like important factor and like observation from the inside from Singapore, that Singapore government is committed to invest in the capabilities of their industries, enterprises, and people. So people is like core here. So as long as you can contribute to Singapore society and economy, let's say creating good jobs for citizens, you will have more chances to succeed. For instance, one of the like ideas would be to think about the businesses which would help to improve life of aging society, support family, because Singapore is a very tiny nation, and birth rate is really not really high. So, and they really want to keep it like as much increase like population, even if it's possible, right? So anything what businesses which can support family life and also healthy living, I would say those would be directions the company should look at, and Singapore will be looking forward, like will welcome businesses into the country.
Okay. Vesta, we have a couple minutes, but there is one last message we want to hear from you. What
time flies.
Time flies, that's right. What message would you like to send to South American businessmen for doing business in Singapore?
Yeah. Oh wow, this is very lovely lovely question, actually. What kind of message? So I would say be ready for a cultural shock. People here are very reserved, not outspoken, and don't express the opinions, especially in the business meetings or discussions. Usually they don't raise questions if it's a public, let's say, Q&A session. However, might come later on and inquire you personally or email to you after a meeting. So communication is not like in person, it's more digital. And let's say one of examples, if you sit just a few meters from a person in the same office, right? What I believe for Latin Americans would be like weird and strange to text to each other or like email to each other, right? When it's just like easy to stand up and in few seconds you can chat. So in Singapore it's very normal. So at the same time, like when I see office cultures, right? Uh, Chit chats and laughs are rare in the working environment, um, because this is culture. I mean, it's nothing wrong. It's just like that's how people perceive it, and be very serious actually about the work, about the responsibilities. Uh, People are very efficient, very professional, and super well dealing with the tight deadlines. So this is my message I would like to send to Latin Americans, that who I believe, and from what my experience and friends whom I have from this beautiful region, you're more social, like interacting with person rather than digital communication. So this at the beginning might be a bit strange and a struggle.
Okay, Vesta. Well, Vesta, thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you again. Has been a very lovely and nice interview. Um, be sure we will call you again for another interview. There are very many points you mentioned now, and I think we have to go deeper in some of them. So our idea is to 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 share this interview to many South American businessmen, and maybe they would like to know more about you. I mean, about Singapore, and this interview by this way can be more easy to answer, especially when we have 12 hours of difference. So
Oh
good,
yeah.
so good morning for you and good night for us.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. It was really work to wake up so early for me on Saturday morning.
Oh,
So I really enjoyed, and I hope information and shared is useful for Latin American business people, and we learned uh, kind of internal insights. We learned something what we didn't read before, and yeah, I'm very happy to contribute in the future, and lovely meeting you and all your team, and until next time, right?
see you next time. Thank you very much, Vesta.
Thank you.